Hey, it's time to do it again. It's a special February 1st edition of the Classic Guitar Rock Daily Update. I'm Jeremy. Thank you so much for joining me. The Grateful Dead. What are your thoughts? Are you a fan? Loyal following? I mean, Jerry Garcia died, 30 years ago? And they don't call themselves the Grateful Dead. It's Dead and Company now, is what it is. But there's still a lot of fans. The jury's still out for me. I don't know. I don't know. Dead and Company have announced a residency at the Las Vegas Sphere. And now, have you seen this Las Vegas Sphere thing? It's pretty awesome. A few bands have played there so far, and it's wild. It's crazy what this Sphere does. I mean, I think the Sphere kind of outshines some of the bands that appear there. But the Dead, or Dead and Company, there have been rumors for the last couple of days about this. Well, it's official now. They confirmed the rumors yesterday with the video shared on social media. In 2023, Dead and Company played their final tour, the clip said. But there are other ways to make sure the music never stops, and it's going to be a ball. And then you see the iconic Grateful Dead logo is on this sphere in Las Vegas. So all these Deadheads will be making their way to Sin City for this big show. They're going to be there for 15 days, I think, is what it said. The band will play at least 15 shows. Additionally, a source close to the situation told the New York Post that the residency will begin in May. So there you go. If you're a fan of the Grateful Dead, Bill Walton, he'll probably be there. You might as well get your tickets, check them out in the Sphere. Sammy Hagar said he doesn't blame Alex Van Halen for not wanting to participate in his upcoming Best of All Worlds tour. Now, if you've heard about this, the Best of All Worlds is Sammy's. He's not calling it a tribute tour, but that's really what it is. It's Sammy's Eddie Van Halen tribute tour. Now, since Eddie died, nothing has happened in terms of a tribute. And in fact, I mean, that's one of the things that frustrated Van Halen fans is Van Halen didn't do anything for the last 10 years that Eddie was alive. I mean, there was really nothing. They did an appearance on, was it the Jimmy Kimmel show or something? But I mean, there was nothing for the fans. And when he died, there was talk about there'd be some kind of tribute, blah, 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 blah. Well, nothing has happened. Well, Alex is really the reason nothing has happened officially, because Alex, he's the decision maker in Van Halen now. And maybe he's always been the main decision maker. I don't know. But now it's like, if Alex doesn't want to do something official, it ain't going to happen. So Sammy's like, dude, I'm 75. Okay. I can't wait years. I'm going to do this. He's invited Joe Satriani to come in. Michael Anthony, of course, is there. And they're doing the show. Of course, Sammy has invited Dave to come and sing some songs. I'm sure he's put out an invitation to Alex. It is what it is. So this Best of All Worlds tour is beginning this spring. Sammy says he doesn't blame Alex for not wanting to tour. He says, here are his exact words. Mike and I, 20 years ago, did a Van Halen reunion. And it's been 20 years this year. I don't have another 20 years to be waiting on Alex Van Halen, who's the only guy left. So he didn't want to do it, I don't blame him. God bless him. So no hard feelings, apparently. But he will press forward with his tribute tour. Hagar also said he's found the best possible alternative in his drummer, Jason Bonham. John Bonham was Alex's hero, Sammy said. Jason plays just like his dad. So it's pretty much the music is going to be served as good as it can be served today. And Jason Bonham is a great drummer. He is great drummer. Sammy says he's grateful for his decade-spanning career, to the point that he's come up with an alternate title for the Best of All Worlds tour. He says, quote, "I'm calling it the Thank You Tour," he said. "For me, it's thank you. Thank you, Eddie. Thank you to the fans. Thank you for this wonderful life, being able to do this, because I don't know how much longer I can do it." I think he's either 75 or 76. So it's Van Halen focused, which obviously it's going to be Hagar era Van Halen focused. I'm sure they'll do Panama. They'll probably do Somebody Get Me a Doctor. They let Mikey sing that. They'll probably do a few of those. But he says he'll do a few of Sammy's. Of course, he's going to do There's Only One Way to Rock. He's going to do heavy metal. He'll do Can't Drive 55. Probably do some Montrose tunes. He'll probably do Bad Motor Scooter, Rock Candy. I don't know. He's got a very big catalog, some great songs. My personal favorite Montrose song, Space Station 5. I don't know if he's done that in years. I'd love to see that. But that's coming out. Sammy, no hard feelings to Alex. But at the end of the day, until Alex wants to do something official, nothing official will happen. The first date of the tour, by the way, for Best of All Worlds, July 13th in West Palm Beach, and it will conclude on August 31st in St. Louis. Loverboy will be opening. Now, let me say something about Loverboy. I've seen Loverboy like 5 times in the last 20 years. They still sound really good. And Loverboy, yeah, they were a pop band, I get it, but just a great band. Paul Dean, one of the unsung guitar heroes of the 80s. I love the guy. Mike Reno can still sing, still sounds really good. Doesn't look that great, but he can sing really good. If Loverboy comes near your town, you need to go see him. And they're still pretty busy. They still play a lot, and they still put on a great show. They sound great. What are you waiting for? Go see Loverboy. You can see Loverboy with Sammy Hagar on this Best of All Worlds tour. What's not to like? Space rock legends, I'll put legends in air quotes, space rock legends Hawkwind have detailed their upcoming studio album, Stories from Time and Space, which will be released through Cherry Red Records on April 5th. So, new album from Hawkwind. Hawkwind, of course, famously the launching pad of Lemmy. Lemmy was in Hawkwind before he was in Motorhead. Hawkwind also famous for its association with Michael Moorcock, the science fiction fantasy writer. Have you read the Elric of Melniboné? Melniboné? Is that how you pronounce it? The Elric of Melniboné series? Yeah, it's kind of considered a classic sci-fi fantasy series. Michael Moorcock wrote some songs with them, worked with them. He had some relationship with Hawkwind. I'm going to do a deep dive on Hawkwind. I don't know a whole lot about Hawkwind other than that Lemmy was in him and that Michael Moorcock was associated with some. So my rabbit hole for this evening will be researching Hawkwind. I'll get back to you on that. I'm kind of interested. Let's go to the mailbag. First one. Dear CGR, you suck. What makes you think anyone cares about what you think? Seriously. Well, that's nitpicking. Here's another one. Hey, Jeremy, looking forward to your next episode of the podcast. Could I recommend you guys dedicate an episode to Cinderella? I know they tend to get lumped into the hair metal bunch, but they were a great band. Would love to hear you guys talk about them. Cinderella, Tom Kiefer. We'll take that under advisement. That's not on our list, but I like Cinderella. I like Tom Kiefer. I think that would be a great thing. That's from Jason. Jason, thanks for your email. By the way, you can email me. Anyone can email me. classicguitarrock@mail.com. You can Insults, we take insults, we take recommendations, requests, suggestions, whatever. Send us an email. One more email. Subject regarding Black Sabbath. Just checked out your episode entitled Black Sabbath Matters. Loved it. Are you aware of the story of Jeff Feinholt, a born-again Christian evangelist and the guy who played Jesus in Jesus Christ Superstar on Broadway, and him supposedly being offered a job as the singer in Black Sabbath following Ronnie James Dio's departure? Would love to hear a discussion about that. It's from Robert Dunn, Robbinsville, New Jersey. Actually, we talked about this. There was an email about this. I can't remember which. It wasn't in the Black Sabbath episode, but just one of the episodes we talk about this story of Jeff Feinholt. Now, back in the late 80s, maybe, Jeff Feinholt had a show on PTL network, one of the Christian networks, Christian broadcasting networks. He's an evangelist, right? And he talks about, these fascinating stories he'd share about, he had been through this crazy life, sex, drugs, the whole thing in the 70s. And then he became a born again Christian after playing Jesus on Broadway. And he tells a story about how Ronnie or Tony Iommi wanted him to join Black Sabbath and all of this. And it's very fascinating stories that he tells. However, Tony doesn't know who the guy is. At least the interview clips I've seen, Tony's like, I don't know who this is. So I don't know if the stories were made up. I don't know if Ronnie doesn't remember. I don't know if he was going by a different name. I don't know. However, I believe on YouTube you can find, I'm just reading this off the cuff, so I haven't researched this, but I think on YouTube you can actually find recordings of Jeff Feinholt singing some demos. Now, that's not necessarily, someone could have come along and got backing tracks and recorded a demo and said, hey, here's a demo that I sang for, I don't know. Of course, Feinholt, I think, died 10 or 15 years, so he's not even alive anymore. But this is one of these things that always resurfaces, and yet Tony doesn't, there's no evidence that any of this ever happened. So it's a fascinating story or non-story. This Jeff Feinholt person claims to have, been in the studio, recorded demos. There are some recordings on YouTube that purport to be Jeff Feinholt singing. And this is around, I think, the Seventh Star period. So this is after Ronnie. This is mid-'80s. Ultimately, Seventh Star, that was the one with Glenn Hughes. So this would have been around that time frame. And if I'm remembering right, there are demos of Feinholt singing some of the stuff that later would become Seventh Star. You got Ray Gillen in there at different times too. So that there was and it's, guys, it's possible that Tony doesn't remember, because I think there was a period where I think Tony thought Sabbath was over. And so he probably played with a lot of different people. Remember, Seventh Star was supposed to be Tony's solo album. And it was only at the last minute that the record company made him call it a Black Sabbath album. Right? So I'm not willing just to come out and say Jeff Feinholt was lying about the whole thing. I don't want to say Tony's lying, but it is conceivable that they could both be telling the truth, right? That Tony does not recall ever working with Jeff Feinholt, yet there is Feinholt recordings on YouTube, and Feinholt claims that he was offered the role as so. and he's not alive to defend him. So I don't know. But this is one of these I don't urban legend. I don't know what you call it. One of these urban legends that you hear about quite a bit in the lore of Black Sabbath. So I don't know what the answer is. I do know that someone asked a question in an email that we talked about in an earlier way earlier, a couple of years ago about it. But it's an interesting bit of Black Sabbath lore. There's another rabbit hole you can dig down if you want to. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Email me, classicguitarrock@mail.com. Thanks for following us on X, Twitter, or I guess that is X, Facebook, YouTube. We're on the Instagram. And again, reach out to us via email, classicguitarrock@mail.com. Thanks so much. We'll do it again tomorrow. Live long and prosper. Bye-bye.